She stood up at a dinner table full of our closest friends and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Logan is so predictable. I can set my watch by his boring little life." They laughed, not hard, but enough for her to feel like she won something. They waited for me to break, to defend myself, to beg for approval. Instead, I smiled and said the words that would change everything. Not anymore. Before I continue, make sure you subscribe, hit like, and comment what you would do if the person you love mocked you for being stable. My name is Logan. Her name is Megan. We've been married 12 years, a marriage built on routines. Morning coffee at 7, dinner at 6, movie on Friday nights, grocery list on Sundays, same store, same aisles. I thought those routines were comfort, a promise that tomorrow wouldn't bring disaster. She once loved that predictability. She once said I made her feel safe. But people forget that safety is boring only to those who never had to fight for it. It began around our 11th anniversary. She started wanting more. More excitement, more spontaneity, more thrill. She'd look at couples on Instagram traveling the world, skydiving, dancing in nightclubs, and suddenly our home, the one I worked hard to provide, felt like a cage to her. Or that's how she made me feel. I'd make dinner, something she used to love, and she'd scroll through her phone, rolling her eyes. Every week the same meals. Every night the same shows. Do you even know what adventure is? She said it jokingly, but it wasn't a joke. The night of that dinner party, our friends gathered at our place, soft jazz playing, candles lit, the kind of night she used to call perfect. I grilled steaks outside, laughing with the guys, while she entertained inside. When I came back in, plates ready to serve, I heard her voice carrying bigger than it needed to. Logan's idea of unpredictability, switching from decaf to regular. They chuckled politely. She wanted a roar. I set the dinner down, acting like I didn't hear. But I felt the sting, not just of the words, but of the disrespect. Public humiliation disguised as humor. She was testing the strength of the leash she assumed she had around my neck. As the evening went on, she continued those little digs. Logan schedules his fun like it's a dentist appointment. If he ever surprises me, I might faint. Honestly, I could live his whole week with my eyes closed. Every jab landed. People tried to laugh it off, but the awkwardness grew. I saw the looks, pity from the women, relief from some of the men who were grateful it wasn't them. When dessert was served, she raised her glass and toasted. To life, the unpredictable part of it anyway. Everyone clinked their glasses. She smiled, believing she owned the room. I smiled too, but for a very different reason. Because in that moment, I decided that if predictability was the crime she accused me of, then I'd give her exactly the opposite. Not chaos, not recklessness, but freedom, the kind that comes with not knowing if the person you took for granted is still yours. I stood up, took her glass gently from her hand, placed it on the table, and leaned in just close enough so everyone could hear. "Megan, you want unpredictable? Then stop expecting me to stay the same." She blinked, taken aback. A few guests glanced awkwardly between us. I walked to the bedroom, heart strangely calm. Packed a small bag, only what I needed. My passport, a clean shirt, the leather wallet she bought me years ago when she still saw me as something special. When I came back to the living room, she tried to laugh it off. "What's this? A dramatic exit?" "No drama," I said. "Just a change of plans." I kissed her once, not tenderly, but like a final signature on a finished contract, and told our guests, "Enjoy the night." Then I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't give her the satisfaction of shock, but I knew it was coming. The predictable husband was gone, and the unpredictable consequences, they were only beginning. I didn't check into a cheap hotel or find a quiet corner of town to hide in. I went somewhere she would never believe I had the guts to go. I drove straight to the airport, walked up to the first ticket counter I saw, and said, "What's the next flight out of here?" The agent blinked. "Chicago. Leaves in an hour." I handed over my card before my brain could ask permission. Predictable Logan would have checked schedules, compared prices, packed extra socks. This Logan bought a ticket with nothing but a bag and a decision. When the plane took off, I felt the weight of 12 years of routine snap. I wasn't running away from my life. I was chasing the part of it I had abandoned. The moment the wheels touched down, I messaged my old friend Travis, who lived downtown. He was single, confident, and lived the kind of life Megan thought she deserved. Bars, concerts, late nights, no traditions. When he picked up the phone, He laughed loudly. The Logan Bennett? In Chicago? What happened? Did someone replace your coffee with adrenaline? I smirked. Just needed a change. Good, he said. Tonight, you're with me. Within hours, I was in a crowded rooftop bar, city lights stretching endlessly around us. Music vibrated through the night air. People danced like tomorrow didn't exist. And there I was, comfortable. Not lost. Not awkward. Not boring. Travis introduced me to his circle, loud personalities, bright laughter, everyone living fast and wild. What surprised me most wasn't the energy of the place, it was how easily I stepped into it. Women actually talked to me, not forced small talk, not polite nods, but genuine interest. One woman named Chloe leaned in and said, "You have this calm but dangerous thing going on. Like you know exactly who you are." I almost laughed. If only she knew how long I'd forgotten that part of myself. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed. Megan. First one text. When are you coming home? Then another. Answer me. Then a call. Then 3 more. Predictable Logan would have responded immediately, apologized for worrying her. The man standing under the Chicago skyline let the phone vibrate until it gave up. I took a shot with the group, feeling sparks in my veins. Excitement, not anxiety. Freedom, not fear. I wasn't trying to become someone else. I was remembering the man she used to love before she tried to confine him. For the next 2 days, I explored. Morning coffee at random cafes. Walking until my feet ached. Last-minute tickets to a basketball game. A dinner at a restaurant so spontaneous I didn't even check the name before walking in. I laughed like I hadn't laughed in years. I slept deeply. I woke eager. Megan's messages piled up. This is ridiculous. You're being petty. Can you just come home? I still didn't respond. On day 3, I returned. No heads lowered. No guilt. Just a quiet calm. When I walked into the house to grab more clothes, Megan was standing in the living room, arms crossed tight over her chest. So that's your big unpredictable move? Running away? She snapped. Her voice tried to sound angry, but fear shook in it. I placed keys on the table. Not running, I said. Just living. She scoffed. You think one weekend makes you some spontaneous hero? No, I replied. But it showed me I'm not trapped. Her expression faltered. She didn't expect that kind of clarity. She expected me to crumble, to rush back and seek approval. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. You really scared me. Good, I said calmly. That means you finally noticed me. Her face dropped. Confusion, frustration, something like panic all mixing at once. She tried to regain control. Logan, come on. You can't just do things without planning like that. You're not built for chaos. I smiled lightly. Chaos didn't scare me. Losing myself did. She didn't know how to respond. Because for the first time, I wasn't asking permission to be different. I wasn't asking anything. That night, I left again, not disappearing, but choosing where I wanted to be. I booked a trip to Nashville, something I'd always talked about but never did because she couldn't stand long drives or loud music. Predictable Logan stayed home. This Logan chased guitar strings and neon lights. I took a photo on Broadway Street, me smiling big beneath a sign that read, "Live Free." Posted it. No captions. The likes and comments rolled in. Friends cheered me on. Even people I hadn't spoken to in years wrote things like, "Man, good for you." And Megan? She watched it all. She called again. This time her voice was small. "I don't like this. You're acting like a stranger." "No," I answered. "I'm acting like me." "When are you coming home?" she asked softly. I looked at the waves of people celebrating life around me. Not tonight. And for the first time, she didn't have anything left to say. What Megan didn't understand yet was simple. Predictability wasn't my flaw. It was my devotion. And now that I had stopped devoting myself to her expectations, life stopped being predictable. She wanted excitement. Well, she was about to get more of it than she ever bargained for. The day I got back from Nashville, everything felt different. Not the city, not the house. Me. I walked in to grab some fresh clothes, and Megan practically flew into the hallway like she'd been standing guard. Her voice was shaky and sharp at the same time. "You can't keep disappearing like this." I took my duffel bag from the closet, folded a few shirts with complete calm, and said, "I'm not disappearing. I'm going somewhere." That answer terrified her more than yelling ever could. She stood frozen, watching me move with a confidence she didn't recognize. "You're scaring me," she admitted. "Good," I said quietly. Fear means this isn't predictable anymore. Megan stepped closer, lowering her tone. I didn't ask for you to turn into someone else. No, I corrected her. You asked for excitement. You asked for surprise. You asked for something new. You just didn't expect that new wouldn't include you in control. For a second, she looked like she might scream, but instead she swallowed hard. Can we please talk? We are talking. Her hands shook, just slightly. She never did well when life didn't bow to her expectations that I left that night with a plane ticket to Miami. It wasn't about running away. It was about discovery. I walked palm-lined streets, tried foods that made my eyes water, stayed awake until the ocean turned silver under sunrise. I met people, not strangers I would forget, people who looked me in the eye and saw someone worth knowing. There was one woman, a local named Sophia, who said to me over beachside margaritas, "You look like someone who finally took off a backpack filled with rocks." I laughed, because she was right. I told her nothing about Megan. I didn't need to. She said, "Wherever you came from, you're not going back the same man." Meanwhile, Megan was unraveling. At first, she posted photos with captions like "living life," but then stopped posting altogether. Her texts turned into paragraphs. "I miss you. I didn't mean those things. I don't sleep well when you're not here. I'm trying to understand. Please come home." I didn't respond. Not because I hated her, but because I finally loved myself enough to stay silent. When I returned home after a week, she was waiting in the kitchen. No makeup, hair tied up carelessly, a mug of cold coffee she'd forgotten to drink. She looked tired, not physically, but in the way someone looks when reality won't bend for them anymore. "Logan," she whispered when I entered. "You're really doing this?" "Yes," I answered simply. "I'm living." "Without me?" she asked. That question, that right there, was the moment I realized she finally understood the consequences of her own words. "I'm living for me," I said. She followed me into the living room. "Look, I'm sorry for the things I said. I know you're a good man. I know you've always taken care of me. I just wanted something different." "So did I told her. "And now I have it." Megan's eyes filled with fear again. "Is there someone else?" The old Logan would have rushed to reassure her. But I just shrugged, not confirming, not denying. Unpredictability. It was a language she finally understood. She stepped back like the floor under her tilted. "This isn't you. You're not like this." I set my bag down and faced her. "No, Megan. I was not like this. I became this. Because you taught me something. A man who lives to keep someone else satisfied eventually loses himself. I'm just finding what I lost." That night, I didn't book a trip. I didn't leave town. I simply didn't stay with her. I grabbed my keys, told her I'd see her when I saw her, and walked out, leaving her to stew in the silence she never expected. She texted again late that night. "Are you safe? Where are you? Please answer." I let the notifications stack up like bricks. She wanted unpredictable? Then she could live with uncertainty. The next day, I didn't even check in. I went rock climbing with Travis, something I'd always wanted but Megan called dangerous nonsense. It felt like scaling a wall that had existed inside me for years. Every reach, every grip, every step higher reminded me I was capable of so much more than she ever gave me credit for. At the top, looking out over the city, the wind whipping past me, I laughed, loud and free. Megan wasn't laughing. She called Travis. He showed me his phone, her voice frantic. "Do you know where Logan is? Is he with someone? Is he okay?" I told him not to answer. She wanted to be in control so badly, she was shaking the bars of a cage she built herself. Predictability used to be her safety net. Now unpredictability was her nightmare. That evening, I swung by the house to drop off a gift, not for her, but for myself. A framed photo of me at the top of the climbing wall, smiling like a man who finally felt alive. I hung it in the hallway, where she would see it every time she passed. She watched me from the living room, arms wrapped around her body like she was cold. "You're different," she whispered. "Better," I corrected. She stepped closer, hope flickering. "Logan, if you just give me a chance," I held up a hand. "I'm not done discovering what happens next." Her face twisted, not anger this time. Fear. Because she realized she no longer drove the story. That night, I packed a bigger bag. I didn't tell her where I was going, or when I'd come back, or if I would. She clung to the doorframe as I walked out. "I never wanted you to leave," she cried. I turned just enough to meet her eyes. "No," I said. "You wanted me to stay predictable." The door closed. Not with drama, with decision. And somewhere behind it, I heard the cracking sound of a woman realizing she had asked for the one thing she couldn't handle, a man she no longer controlled. I didn't run. I didn't hide. I lived. Weeks turned into a rhythm of unpredictability that finally felt natural. I took weekend trips with no itinerary, learned to ride a motorcycle, signed up for dance lessons even though I had two left feet, said yes to invitations I once would have avoided. I went fishing at dawn with coworkers, stayed out late at jazz clubs, hiked trails I'd only seen in magazines. Every day was a surprise, even to me. And every day, I felt more alive than the last. Meanwhile, Megan's world, the one she had mocked for being too calm, too predictable, was falling apart without the structure I once held together silently and consistently. Bills were late. Groceries disappeared faster than they got replaced. Her car battery died because she forgot routine maintenance. The house creaked with the loneliness she once claimed she craved. Her messages shifted in tone, each one reflecting a new stage of panic. I don't know what you're doing. Please just tell me something. I can't sleep. I'm scared. I miss you so much. I was wrong. Predictable Logan would have replied instantly. This version left the phone face down, choosing the world right in front of him. One Saturday, I returned home to grab more clothes and documents. Megan was sitting on the living room floor sorting through piles of crumpled receipts and scattered mail, the kind of small chaos she never noticed I handled quietly. The moment she heard me step through the door, she stood up fast. "Logan," she breathed, as if my name alone was relief. "Hey," I said simply, setting my keys on the counter. She rushed toward me, stopping only a foot away. "Can we please talk? Really talk? I need to fix this." I looked at her, hair unstyled, fear sitting right behind her eyes. "Talk," I said. She took a deep breath. I thought predictability meant weakness. I thought adventure was everything. But now, I can't keep up. I feel like I'm falling into chaos every day. And you're out there doing everything I said I wanted, but instead of feeling free, she choked up. "I feel lost without you." Silence stretched between us. Heavy, honest. "You always made life feel safe," she continued. "I just never realized stability isn't boring. It's love in the everyday." I nodded once. "Now you understand." Her voice dropped to a pleading whisper. "I need you. Or do you just miss control?" I asked. That hit her hard. She staggered emotionally, like the ground opened beneath her. "No," she said, shaking her head fiercely. "I miss the man who held my hand in the grocery store. The man who fixed the sink without being asked. The man who remembered my favorite breakfast. The man who cared about me even when I didn't deserve it." A tear slid down her cheek. "I took that version of you for granted. And I'm sorry." She was finally saying the words she had once been too proud to speak. But apologies don't rebuild trust. Effort does. She reached for my arm, but then stopped. Like she finally understood contact wasn't a guarantee anymore. "Please come back home. We can create a new life together. Exciting. Spontaneous. Just with each other." I studied her closely. The sincerity was real. The pain was real. The consequences were real. "Megan," I said slowly, "I'm proud of you for recognizing what mattered. Truly. But I'm not the man who needs approval to live." I paused before finishing. "I love the life I'm building. And for the first time in years, I love myself." Her shoulders slumped. Hope faltered. "You said I was predictable," I continued. "But the truth is, predictability was devotion. It was consistency. It was love. And you threw it away because it didn't sparkle enough." She covered her mouth, crying silently. "I didn't walk away to hurt you. I walked away to find myself. And I did. I picked up my travel bag." She whispered, terrified. "So this is goodbye?" I looked into her eyes, the eyes that once saw me as boring until I wasn't there anymore. "No," I said gently. "This is me choosing a life where I'm not mistaken for boring just because I'm loyal." Her knees seemed to weaken, her hands trembling at her sides. "Logan, please. I can change." "I hope you do," I responded softly. "Not for me. For you." I walked to the door, opened it, feeling sunlight hit my face. A light I finally allowed myself to step into. Behind me, I heard a tiny, breaking whisper. "I didn't think you'd ever leave." I smiled sadly. That was the problem. Then I stepped out. The door closed on a chapter she didn't think could. Indeed, no drama, no shouting, no regrets. Just a man who finally understood. Stability is not failure. Routine is not weakness. Predictability is not boring. Predictability is love until someone demands chaos. And when you give them chaos, sometimes they realize too late which world they truly needed. That I walked toward a future I couldn't predict. And that was the best part. That if you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Your support means everything and helps me bring more powerful stories your way.